I'm Donna Bush with your CID-TV News Brief and weather forecast. Thanks as always for being here with us. The COVID-19 vaccination program in the Cayman Islands started earlier this year on the 7th of January, and since then, Public Health and their teams have provided 65,497 jabs, have given 35,429 people at least one dose, and given a total of 30,068 people the complete course of vaccinations. Chief Medical Officer Dr. John Lee tells us more about the vaccination program and why it's important for as many people as possible to get vaccinated.
We're now in the final stages of the vaccination program. We're in those final stages because the vaccines that we currently have, following the last scheduled delivery, will expire at the end of June, the 30th of June. That means that anybody wishing to have the vaccine needs to come on or preferably well before the 9th of June, because you have to leave at least 21 days before you have your second dose. So ideally we need people to be coming forward now so that they've taken up the vaccine in good time before that expiration date hits us. We really don't want to be in the situation where we are having to get rid of any unused vaccines. We are still facing an enormous explosion of illness and deaths around the world. We're in a good place to have vaccines in the country, but we need to increase the vaccination rates. At the moment, we have good penetration with those over 50. The numbers there are 77% for those 50 to 60, so that's very good. We know we've got great penetration in those over 60. But in the people aged 60 to 50, and I can broken it down into different deciles. Of course, the first group is larger than 10, but from 16 to 30, 30 to 40, and 40 to 50, we have a much lower percentage take-up. On average in that group, it's 44%. The breakdowns are that the youngest group is around 30%, the next group's around 45%, and the next group after that is around 55%. So as you get older, it seems that people are more comfortable taking vaccines, but we really want to have good penetration. The most important reason for good penetration is that it's going to protect the community, because if the virus happens to come in, maybe it's a variant of concern which does not respond so well to the vaccine, it's much more difficult for that virus to take hold if you have what's called herd immunity, which means the bulk of the population have been protected. Taking the vaccine for the younger age groups is a gift to the community. It will also have benefits to Cayman itself. As we begin to travel, being able to demonstrate that you've been vaccinated will allow you to travel much more freely. Here in Cayman, we've already seen that the quarantine has dropped from 15 to 10 days, and it is likely to drop further, provided that people get vaccinated.
Through the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office of the United Kingdom, the Cayman Islands have received around 90,000 vaccinations, which is enough to give 45,000 people a course of 2 injections. The last scheduled delivery was on April 7th, and the last batches will expire at the end of June 2021, as Dr. Lee mentioned earlier. Now, to read more about the benefits of getting the COVID-19 vaccine, you're encouraged to visit explore.ky/coronavirus online. Also making our headlines this Wednesday, the Cayman Islands National Gallery, with the support from the private sector and individual donors, has announced the launch of the second Cayman Islands Biennial. Gallery Director Natalie O'Cart explains more.
The Biennial is a large-scale, multi-site exhibition project that happens every 2 years. We started the Biennial conversation in 2019, and now in 2021, the project is being featured on all 3 of our Cayman Islands and at 5 different venues. So we are collaborating with the Botanic Park, with the Owen Roberts International Airport, Mission House, the Little Cayman Museum, with special programming scheduled for Cayman Brac. So this really is a Tri-Island celebration of visual art in a very, very unique moment. Some of the sub-themes that the artists are exploring are environmental stewardship and the urgency around the climate change conversation, about social justice and inclusion in our islands and globally, and of course, other social themes that are very, very important to us as Caymanians living on our small island: rapid development, education, and all of the other core topics that we've heard so much about in the last few weeks during the election process.
41 artists are part of this year's project, which again is organized under the title theme, Reimagined Futures. The artists were all selected to be a part of the biennial by local and international judges, and the artists have been actively involved in dialogue around the issues, all while being able to think about what the future looks like to them. The exhibit is described as gritty and thought-provoking, and the public will be introduced to longtime and emerging artists throughout the showing. For a full list of times and information on all workshops, lectures, and events running throughout the biennial, you're encouraged to visit nationalgallery.org.ky on their website. Turning now to a look at our forecast, today's high temperature reached 89 degrees, the low 79. Today's forecast was for mainly sunny skies with a 20% chance of showers. The winds are from the east at 5 to 10 knots with higher gusts. Seas are slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Remember, you can find the latest on local weather conditions online at weather.gov.ky, or you can simply download their app on your mobile device. The app is CINWS. And that's it for today's news brief here on CIG Television. I'm Donna Bush, as always, inviting you to join us back here again on Thursday evening. Until then, have a safe and, of course, a wonderful night.
Boating, fishing, and water sports in the Cayman Islands are great, but keep a cool head. Here are 7 tips for fun and safe sea outings. Number 1. Use a checklist to plan your outing. Check the weather forecast, make a float plan, and share it with someone who is remaining on land, stating where you're going, with whom, and when you're expected to return. Visit your nearest marine supply store to get your safety gear. This includes signaling mirrors, whistles, and a flare kit. It's also very important to have onboard flotation devices and life vests for each person. There are different types of vests. Some are for water sport activities such as snorkeling, and others are for going on offshore boating or on fishing trips. Number 2. These items can be lifesavers in case of an accident or bad weather. Number 3. Use a motor kill switch, especially if you're boating alone. In case of a leak or breakdown, always stay with the boat until help arrives. If you capsize, an emergency beacon or locator device can send a distress signal to inform the authorities of your location. Larger flares will indicate distress to a boat, airplane, or search and rescue officials. Number 4. In addition to sunscreen, food, and beverages, it would be smart to have a cell phone. Make sure your marine radio works. Cayman boaters use Channel 16 to communicate. Number 5. Also, don't forget your anchor and sufficient rope. Number 6. Boat operators should be familiar with the local waters and reefs, as well as the capabilities and functions of the vessels they are using. Always obey the rules of the sea and the marine environment, and have courtesy for others. Number 7. Alcohol and salt water do not mix, especially if you're the captain. Some useful contact numbers are 911. The RCIPS Marine Base is 649-7710, and the Port Authority is 949-2055. Smooth sailing, all!
Join Donna Bush weekdays at 6 p.m. for the CIG TV News Update. Get the latest on what's happening in government on a daily basis. News Update first at 6 p.m.